it's important to note also what Jesus is not telling us when he says, do not resist. Jesus is not saying and is not encouraging injustice, dishonesty, or vice. Jesus is not talking against the administration of justice, against an enforcement of law. Instead, what Jesus is saying and what he is forbidding his followers is to seek revenge and retribution against those who would purposefully wrong us. He's forbidding that we take revenge and retribution against those who would purposely wrong us. And so in each one of these 4 points, we'll see this. Jesus will make the same point. That following Jesus means that we have to deny ourselves and follow his example. Plainly put, following Jesus means we deny ourselves and do not seek to get even. So, let's look at the first illustration. Verse 39. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other as well. Slapping someone on the right cheek was the equivalent of being backhanded. Every Jew, every Greek, every Roman, anyone listening to Jesus on that mount, listening to this sermon, understood that the slapping of the cheek was not a physical harm. It was an embarrassment. It was a public insult. To slap someone, to backhand someone, was essentially disregarding someone or regarding someone with disdain, just completely disregarding them, saying, you're of no value. I'm going to backhand you like I would a dog or something else, like a mosquito or a bug. Get out of here. And so Jesus is saying that his followers, when they are insulted, publicly, privately, they are not to retaliate. They are not to insult back. Do not seek retribution by demanding a payment for the insult. Do not seek a public apology. You insulted me in front of all my coworkers. How dare you? I want you to apologize. He says, don't do that. Accept the insult. Accept the insult. Do not seek retribution. Do not seek revenge. Do not seek to get even. Do not repay insult for insult. Now, side note, there are definitely situations where you talk to someone and say, hey, that was offensive, that hurt. You'll deal with that person one-on-one, and you handle that comment or that insult. But what Jesus is saying is, do not make a public example of that person because they made a public example of you. Of course, there are so many applications to this in our lives. College students, if your roommate is just a slob, right, and is trashing your room all the time, do you trash the room after they clean the room just to kind of get back at them? Do you eat their Chipotle burrito because they ate your Chicago deep dish pizza? Okay, that's not you guys. That's me kind of going back in my college days. I'm still having resolved that in my heart. I'm still bitter. Okay? For those of you who've never had Chicago deep dish pizza, I'm pretty sure like that's going to be in heaven. Like that's the only pizza that's going to exist. It's amazing. Spouses, if your husband or your wife is nasty with you, do you get nasty right back at them? Do you throw your coworker or your supervisor under the bus because they were unfair to you? As you're talking to your coworkers around the water cooler at work, you badmouth the professor because they made you look foolish in class for asking a question. Do you intentionally forget to return that tool that you asked your neighbor to borrow because, let's just be honest, he hasn't returned the rate from 2015 back to you? Jesus is telling his followers that essentially there are only two ways to live life. Either to use people or to serve people. Either your life for mine or my life for you. Either I use people to make myself look good, and if, don't you dare attack me because I want to make you feel my wrath. Or, you know what? I'm here to serve. If you insult me, I'm not going to retaliate. Because I follow Jesus. Because that's the way Jesus lived for me. He laid down his life for me. He calls that I do the same. Jesus says, if you are my follower, you must deny yourself. Deny yourself the right to get even and follow my example. says, bless those who curse you, pray for those who would hurt you, and love those who hate you. That's the first illustration. Second illustration Jesus uses is in verse 40. If anyone would sue you, take your tunic, essentially your shirt. Let him have your cloak as well. This illustration, Jesus is talking about this is a legal system. This is in a court of law. So what Jesus is saying is the setting is a follower of Christ is unjustly being sued for literally the shirt off his back. Now, in that day, you could literally sue people for the shirt off their back, but you could not take away their cloak, the outer garment, because it was essential to have that in order to survive the Palestinian climate. Like, your cloak was essentially your blanket you slept with that night. So you can essentially be shirtless and still have your cloak. By law, you had the right to have that. So what Jesus is saying here is he's saying, hey, you're in a situation where you're being taken advantage by the court of law, and the court of law is doing nothing to help you. Do not just meet and pay the amount that the judge says you need to pay. Do not give what's asked of you. Give more in return. Don't just give him your shirt, give him your cloak as well. I think the Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 12, verses 17 through 21, really explains this and builds on this. So let me read to you real quick from Romans chapter 12, verses 17 through 21. Listen as the Apostle Paul writes, repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to what is honorable in the sight of all people. If possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. Here it is. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. Make sure he's full. Don't just give him a snack. Feed him. Make sure he's full. If your enemy is thirsty, don't give him a sip of water. Make sure you quench that thirst. For by so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. It's important, again, guys, here that Jesus is not referring to a legitimate litigation or a legal compensation, but instead to situations where his followers are being purposely wrong for the sake of being his followers. This is a situation where in the court of law, his followers would be and are being purposely wrong. It's intentional. It's a form of persecution. Now, there are two applications that come out of verse 40. First is this. The first application is what we just dealt with. Believers dealing with the oppression or persecution of unbelievers in the court of law. The second hits home. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, specifically in verse 7, addresses the scenario where two believers within the local body, within the local church, are suing each other, are in a court of law. And this is what the Apostle Paul says. He says, as a church, as believers, it is the duty of the church, the local church, to intervene, to step in, and to mediate, to fix the issue between two brothers within the local church. The Apostle Paul says that it is the job of the local church and local leadership to make sure that the brother who is wrong is defended. But the Apostle Paul also says, if the one who offends will not listen and says, no, we're going to take this down the street at the courthouse. The Apostle Paul says it is better that you suffer loss than that you, in the sight of the world, the watching world, take this to court. Because the principle here is, if Jesus tells his followers, be willing to not just give your shirt, but also your jacket to unbelievers, is he then not also instructing us to do the same for our fellow brothers and sisters? And the answer there is yes, of course. So then Paul says, believer, you who would wrong your brother or sister to a to a watching world. And so, in the first scenario, Jesus is serious about his followers forgoing their rights towards unbelievers. But Jesus, through the Apostle Paul, is equally as serious about believers who are unwilling to put aside either their rights or unwilling to repent of their greed, and instead, before a watching world, would sue their brother in the court of law. So, those are the two scenarios, those are the two applications that come out of our text here. Third illustration. Verse 41. And if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Every Jew listening to Jesus giving this sermon would understand perfectly well what Jesus was explaining and what he was describing. Most Jews, if not every Jew in attendance to this sermon on the Mount, had either seen or had experienced the process of being asked to go 1 mile. And this is what would happen. If you're a Roman soldier or a Roman official, and you came across a non-Roman person, by law, you could tell that person to carry whatever load you had, whatever burden, whatever luggage you had. That person, by law, had to carry it for no more than 1 mile. So you can imagine the inconvenience of when you're walking north